Okay. So the first thing you want to do is remember that the last number is the y-intercept. So this number on the end, when it's in this format, it gives you a free point. Okay. So that's going to be the y-intercept here. That's going to be the y-intercept here. So you get a free point. But other than that, if you remember, we have to plug in numbers and just see what we get. So if I plug in, let's say 2, I have to do, if I plug in x equals 2, I have to do, okay, y is going to be negative 2, 2 squared, plus 8 times 2 minus 4. Remember we had to do a bunch of these in order to graph? We had to be careful to do the exponents first. Okay, so that's going to be 2 to the second, which is 4. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Then we can do 16 minus 8 is 8. 8 minus 4 is 4. You get an answer of 4. So if I plugged in 2 for x, got an answer of 4. That's 2 comma 4. Two comma 4. And then I have to repeat the whole process for maybe x equals 3. And do it all again. And then from that, you can steadily see a shape forming. Of course, I mentioned to you that you could also use decimals to check as you're going along. So we got negative 18 plus 24 comes out to 2. So this is the point 3 comma 2. 3 comma 2. Plug in 3, got an answer of 2. So from here, you can probably see the shape forming. That this is going to go, it's negative, so I know it's facing down. It's going to look something like this. So you can kind of see that, well, this is probably the vertex up here, so I could probably put a point right here to finish it up because I know it's the same thing on both sides. And I can also put a point down here because if I had this negative 4, then the other side I get as well, and then you can see that shape forming. So this was the longest way we did these graphing parabolas. This is the longest possible way we could do it. And after we did this, we found out a few faster ways through factoring mostly. Okay. So that's what you need to do for number 2 as well. It's just plugging as many points as you need in order to get the full graph. But remember, if you get one side, like I got this, I know I have this point as well. If I have my y-intercept of 4, as soon as I know where my line of symmetry is, I get the other side also. So you didn't have to plug in 5 or 7 points exactly, but just enough so you know what the shape looks like. And again, since this is positive, I know this shape's going to be going upwards. And if you want to, open another tab on Desmos or on your app and you can check to make sure your graph is right. For factoring, you might remember the addict basement X method. So what two numbers multiply to 45?
9 and 5.
And add to 14? 9 and 5. So you can write this as you can write this as 14 you can break up to 9n and 5n, and then just do the GCF of both. what comes out of these two? Okay. Take out an n. And what comes out of these two? Just a 1. So my answer is going to be 5n plus 9 and n plus 1. Order does not matter here. Okay. So hopefully that looks familiar. Another way of doing that would just be to write the 4 this way. This is called the box method. Some people like this method, where you just take these 4 and you put it in a box instead, and then you just do the GCS of each row and column. So what comes out of the first row is n. What can you take out of the second row? Nothing really, so just 1. What can you take out of the first column? 5n. What can you take out of the second column? 9, and that gives you the same two binomials, 5n plus 9 on top, n plus 1 on the side. So either way. So that was the box method and also just the regular factoring method, whatever works for you. But this is what we're going to be used to help us graph. We're going to be using factoring to help you graph faster. That's why we need this. Down here, what happens? How do you solve it? Remember, all you do if it's already factored, you just do this side equals 0 and this side equals 0. So you know n equals 2 and n equals 3. And it's okay to have fractions. So like here you have 3b plus 4 is 0, and 5b plus 8 is 0. So you just have to subtract 4 on both sides. Don't change anything to a decimal. Divide by 3, divide by 3. So b equals negative 4 over 3, and that's okay for your answer. So just leave it as fractions are all right. So when they're already in parentheses, that's the easiest possible problem for you. These are going to be the easiest questions on the quiz. All you got to do is just split them up and get your 2 answers. Okay. Here, go ahead and graph. These are in vertex form already, so we have to know that the vertex A, first find the vertex, is going to be at, anybody know it? -1, comma, -3. So it's always the opposite of this number, -1, and the same as this number, -3. So I know in this format, the vertex is at -1, -3. It's right here. And then go ahead and plug in 0, see what you get. If you plug in 0 for x, what do you get? Okay. So 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 minus 3 is? 2 minus 3 is? -1. So you get, and then you get another on that side, and there's your graph. So it was a lot faster when it was in this vertex form. A lot faster. I kind of went through this a little bit quickly, but the axis of symmetry, remember that's just whatever this is right here. This is x, this is y. So x equals -1, that's the axis of symmetry. And then the y-intercept is Well, when you plug in 0, what do you get as your answer? That's right here. That's my y-intercept. I got -1. So compare number 13 with number 1. How long 13 takes? Right here, how long this takes to do? And graph the equation when it's in this format, standard form. And compare it with how long it takes this to graph. You can see there's very little writing, and I can get the graph much faster. So we figured out that this is the best way to have the equation. It's so much faster to graph when it's in this format. So that's when we went down here and we practiced putting those equations into that format. And we said, let's break this up. Okay. And you said, what's half of -6? And you get -3. What's -3 squared? What's -3 squared? 9. So I knew this is +9. In order for it to be equal to 15, though, I need 9 plus 6. All right. These first 3 ended up equaling what's below, and then the 6 you just drop down. So now I can take something like on number 1 on the front of the worksheet that takes forever to graph, and in a few steps now it looks like number 13, something that's really fast to graph. So this is going to be what we're going to be practicing all week, is taking these long graphing, converting it to a vertex form so it's very fast to graph. Okay. I'll do the last, number 19. Just remember, if there's a number in front, like this case there's a -1, anytime there's something in front of the square term, we got to factor that out. And then do the same exact steps we would normally. Because I took out a -1. Okay. And then go through the same steps. Same steps we did before or above. Just remember that this -1 kind of stays there in front of everything else. Okay, so half of -6 is close. -3. -3 squared is 9. Now I need to get to 4, so 9 minus 5. Bring down the 5, but then one more step, multiply that -1 back into both of these. So my final answer will be negative and then +5. So a little more work when I have to take out that negative. Just make sure at the very end you multiply it back in. And on Desmos, I had you guys plug in on Desmos both the question and the answer, and you saw that they were the same exact parabola. So these aren't two different graphs. They're two ways of doing the same thing. I could have put this at number 1 and told you to make a t-chart, and you get the same exact graph as if you did with Vertex using this format, which is a lot faster. Okay. All right, so that's a rundown of the whole review. Again, you have up till the middle of class tomorrow, and then by like the last 20 minutes, kind of like right about now, tomorrow, 24 hours, we'll start taking the quiz. All right, good luck.